Younger Oldie here, and welcome to my channel. Now, there's been a lot in the news recently about certain protesters, causing a bit of mayhem. So stay tuned, watch the intro, and I'll have my 5 penneth on the topic. Now, I understand some things about all this climate change malarkey, as almost everyone does. I won't bother mentioning my views on the EV movement, as I've already done a video on that. But it seems all the main protesting is being done in London. I would imagine that because it's the busiest place in the UK, so the protests will have the biggest impact there. Now, yeah, it's our right to have a protest about whatever. But is it anyone's right to disrupt anyone else from going about their normal day-to-day business? So gluing yourself to the road, or as they now do, walk very slowly in the road, in your bright orange IVs, which actually has come from oil-based products, but there you go, is that going to get the public on your side? At the end of the day, you're just going to piss people off big time, and you're not going to get any more support from the UK public. I actually seen somebody being interviewed that was not able to get to a parent's funeral, as their protesters would not let them through. It's no wonder they were upset. I mean, how would the protesters feel if the boot was on the other foot? The protesters, they say, oh, we've got a blue light rule to allow emergency vehicles to pass. But then I've seen a video and this wasn't the case. There was a policeman pleading with some protesters that someone had to get to the hospital by car for treatment. And the leader of the protesters argued with the policeman, saying they didn't class this as an emergency. Well, if it is, if that treatment is needed to make somebody better or keep them alive. Now, I'm not a violent person, and if I was caught up in one of these protests on my bike, I would simply just dismount my bike, push it along the pavement, which is perfectly legal to do, and then push it back onto the road, jump on and ride off. But on the other hand, if I was taking my dear departing mum to the hospital for treatment, and these protesters were going to make my mum miss vital treatment, now that would be another story completely. Now, these protesters are a danger to themselves. Not only themselves, but other road users. I mean, how much longer is it going to take for some motorist to snap? He's having a bad day, and he just loses it, and decides it's just to run them over. One guy was pushing protesters out of the way, and one of them fell over. The guy was arrested for assault, but in my opinion he was only doing what the police maybe should be doing, and clear the road for the public to carry on their journey and keep everybody safe. They want to stop new oil, but sadly for the EV crowd, the infrastructure is not in place for us all to be EV fanboys in the allocated time given. So at the end of the day, we're still going to need fuels for transportation. Maybe if they were protesting on the pavement and handing out leaflets, the public might be more liable to listen to them. We've all seen TV interviews where the protester who's being interviewed just justifies whatever argument the interviewer is saying, claiming their cause is more important than needing to get to hospital for some treatment, maybe for a life-threatening condition. The interviewer tends to destroy the protester's argument, as the protester just ends up repeating the same old answers over and over again, because basically they've run out of a justifiable argument for their actions. The protesters claim they want to save future lives and stop global warming, etc. And yes, something probably does need to be done, but this is all well and good. But should people who are living their lives now forfeit their lives for future generations through the actions of the protesters? I watched one protester march that was actually full of doctors. And yes, they're protesting about the future world conditions and that might happen, and they want to save lives. But at the present, where you just can't get an appointment to see your doctor for what could be a serious condition, and that can get worse, and you just can't get in and get a slot for a diagnosis. The NHS is, way behind in people needing treatment. Well, ever likely to be when all the doctors are out there protesting. On a recent video, I actually noticed the police were arresting the protesters. Maybe it's about time. Probably they've realised, they've got to do something before someone actually does take the law into their own hands, and somebody's going to get seriously hurt or worse. I put this video together, a last minute thing really, because it seems to be all over the news at the minute, and it's pointless having my comments when the event's all over. But if you enjoyed the video, please do the ticks, like and subscribe, and as always, take care and ride safe, and bye for now.